specific plans to come here amid so many young people. But in the 10 months since Calcutta, he had been moved by force of circumstances, or as he understood it, by Krishna's will, from one place to another. On the order of his spiritual master, he had come to America, and by Krishna's will, he had come to the Lower East Side. His mission here was the same as it had been on the Bowery or uptown or even in India. He was fixed in the order of his spiritual master and the Vedic view, a view that wasn't going to be influenced by the radical changes of the 1960s. Now, if it so happened that these young people, because of some change in the American cultural climate, were to prove more receptive to him, then that would be welcome. And that would also be by Krishna's will. So that's where we left. We will continue. Actually, because of the omnious influence of the Kali Yuga millennium, this was historically the worst of time for spiritual cultivation. Hippie revolutions or not, and Srila Prabhupada was trying to transplant Vedic culture into a more aligned ground than had any previous spiritual master. So he expected to find his work extremely difficult. Yet in this generally bad age, just prior to Prabhupada's arrival on the Lower East Side, tremors of dissatisfaction and revolt against the Kali Yuga culture itself began vibrating through American society, sending waves of young people to wander the streets of New York's Lower East Side in search of something beyond the ordinary life, looking for alternatives, seeking spiritual fulfillment. These young people, broken from that stereotype materialistic backgrounds and drawn together now on New York's Lower East Side, were the ones who were by chance or choice or destiny to become the congregation for the Swami's storefront, offering of kirtan and spiritual guidance. Hari Bol. The Swami's arrival went unnoticed. The neighbor said someone new had taken the gifts off next to the laundry. There was a strange picture in the window now, but no one knew what to make of it. Some passersby noticed a piece of paper announcing classes in Bhagavad Gita taped to the window. A few stopped to read it, but no one knew what to make of it. They didn't know what Bhagavad Gita was, and the few who did thought maybe a yoga bookstore or something. The Puerto Ricans in the neighborhood would look in the window at Harvey Cohen's painting and then blankly walk away. The manager of the mobile gas station next door couldn't care less who had moved in. It just didn't make any difference. The tombstone sellers and undertakers across the street didn't care. And for the drivers of the countless cars and trucks that passed by, Swamiji's place didn't even exist. But there were young people around who had been intrigued with the painting, who went up to the window to read the little piece of paper, and some of them even knew about the Bhagavad Gita. Although the painting of Lord Chaitanya and the dancers didn't seem to fit. A few thought maybe they would attend Swami Bhaktivedanta classes and check out the scene. July 1966. Howard Wheeler was hurrying from his apartment on Mott Street to a friend's apartment on 5th Street, a quiet place where he hoped to find some peace. He walked up Mott Street to Houston, turned right, and began to walk east. Across Bowery, past the rushing traffic and stumbling derelicts, and toward 2nd Avenue. Howard expressed in his own word as follows. After crossing that, maybe Rudayanand Maharaj, I don't know. If somebody knows, they can confirm it. After crossing Bowery, just before 2nd Avenue, I saw Swamiji jointly strolling down the sidewalk, his head held high in the air, his hand in the bead bag. He struck me like a famous actor in a very familiar movie. He seemed ageless. He was wearing the individual saffron-colored robes of a sannyasi and quaint white shoes with points. Coming down Houston, he looked like the genie that popped out of Aladdin's lamp. Howard, aged 26, was a tall, large-bodied man with long dark hair, a profuse beard, and black-framed eyeglasses. He was an instructor in English at Ohio State University and was fresh from a trip to India, where he had been looking for a true guru. Prabhupada noticed Howard, and they both stopped simultaneously. Howard asked the first question that popped into his mind. Are you from India? Prabhupada smiled. Oh yes, and you? Howard. I told him no, but that I had just returned from India and I was very interested in his country and the Hindu philosophy. He told me he had come from Calcutta and had been in New York almost 10 months. His eyes were as fresh and cordial as a child's. Anyone standing before the trucks that roared and rumbled their way down Houston Street. He emanated a cool tranquility that was unshakably established in something far beyond the great metropolis that roared around us. Howard never made it to his friend's place that day. He went back to his own apartment on Mott Street to Keith, that Kirtananda Swami, I think, and Wali, that, what is the name of our Amirandas Prabhu Guru name? How can I forget? Haribo. It's not gonna come. That, but I know for sure that the valley. His roommates to tell them and everyone he knew about the Guru who had inexplicably appeared within their midst. Oh, the thought keep on coming. What is the Guru name of Amirendra Prabhu? Haribo. Umapati Swami Maharaj. Yes. So Keith was the Kirtanand Swami and Valley was Umapati Maharaj. And I think he was in the first batch of getting the initiation. Keith and Howard had been to India. Now they were involved in various spiritual philosophies, and their friends used to come over and talk about enlightenment. 18-year-old Chuck Barnett was a regular visitor. So Chuck explained his experience in his own word as follows. You would open the door of the apartment and thousands of cockroaches would disappear into the woodwork. And the smell was enough to knock you over. So Keith was trying to clean the place up and kick some people out. They were sharing the rent. Wally, Keith, Howard, and several others. Due to a lack of any other process, they were using LSD to try and increase their spiritual life. Actually, we were all trying to use drugs to help in meditation. Anyway, Wally, Howard, and Keith were trying to find the perfect spiritual master, as we all were. There you go. Howard remembered his own spiritual seeking as reading books on Eastern philosophy and religion, burning a lot of candles and incense, and taking ganja and peyote and LSD as aid to meditation. Actually, it was more intoxication than meditation. Meditation was a euphemism that somehow connected to our highs with our readings. Keith, 29, the son of a Southern Baptist minister, was a PhD candidate in history at Columbia University. He was preparing his thesis on the rise of revivalism in the southern United States. Dressed in old denim cutoffs, sandals, and t-shirt, he was something of a guru among the Mott Street coterie. Wally was in his 30s, shabbily dressed, bearded, intellectual, and well-read in Buddhist literature. He had been a radio engineer in the army and, like his roommates, was unemployed. He was reading Alan Watts, Herman Hesse, and others, talking about spiritual enlightenment and taking LSD. In India, Howard and Keith had visited Hardwar, Rishikesh, Banaras, and other holy cities, experiencing Indian temples, houses, and dysentery. One evening in Calcutta, they had come upon a group of sadhus chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and playing kartals. For Howard and Keith, for many Westerners, the essence of Indian philosophy was Shankara's doctrine of impersonal oneness. Everything is false except the one impersonal spirit. They had bought books that told them whatever way you express your faith, that way is a valid spiritual path. Now the three roommates, Howard, Keith, and Wally, began to mix various philosophies into hodgepodge of their own. Howard would mix in a little Whitman, Emerson, Thoreau, or Black. Keith would cite biblical references, and Wally would add a bit of Buddhist wisdom. And they all kept up on Timothy Leary, Thomas Kempis, and many others. The whole mixture being subject to a total re-evaluation whenever one of the group experienced a new cosmic insight through LSD. This was the group that Howard returned to that day in July. Excitedly, he told them about the Swami, how he looked and what he had said. Howard told how after they had stood and talked together, the Swami had mentioned his place nearby on 2nd Avenue where he was planning to hold some classes. So Howard is explaining in his own word, I walked around the corner with him. He pointed out a small storefront building between 1st and 2nd Street, next door to Mobile filling station. It had been a curiosity shop, and someone had painted the word matchless gift over the window. At that time, I didn't realize how prophetic those words were. This is a good area, he asked me. I told him that I thought it was. I had no idea what he was going to offer at his classes, but I knew that all my friends would be glad that an Indian Swami was moving into the neighborhood. The word spread, although it wasn't so easy now for Carl Jurgens and certain others to come up from the Bowery and Chinatown. They had other things to do. Roy Du Bois, a 25-year-old writer for comic books, had visited Prabhupada on the Bowery. And when he heard about the Swami's new place, he wanted to drop by. James Green and Bill Epstein had not forgotten the Swami, and they wanted to come. The Paradox restaurant was still a live connection and brought new interested people. And others like Stephen Guriano saw the Swami sign in the window. Steve, age 26, was a caseworker for the city's welfare department. And one day on his lunch break, as he was walking home from the welfare office at 5th Street and 2nd Avenue, he saw the Swami sign taped to the window. He had been reading a paperback Gita, and he promised himself he would attend Swami's class. That day, as he stood with the Swami before the storefront, Howard had also noticed the little sign in the window. Lectures in Bhagavad Gita, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Will you bring your friends? Prabhupada had asked. Yes, Howard promised. Monday evening. So the summer evening was warm, and in the storefront, the back windows and front door were open wide. Young men, several of them dressed in black denims and button-down sport shirt with broad dove stripes, had left their worn sneakers by the front door and were now sitting on the floor. Most of them were from the Lower East Side. No one had had to go to great trouble to come here. The little room was barren, no pictures, no furniture, no rug, not even a chair. Only a few plain straw mats. A single bulb hung from the ceiling into the center of the room. And it was 7 o'clock, and about a dozen people had gathered when the Swami suddenly opened the side door and entered the room. He wasn't wearing a shirt, and the saffron cloth that draped his torso left his arm and some of his chest bare. His complexion was smooth golden brown, and as they watched him, his head shaven, his ear long lobed, and his aspect grave. He seemed like pictures they had seen of the Buddha in meditation. He was old, yet erect in his posture, fresh and radiant. His forehead was decorated with the yellowish clay marking of the Vaishnavas. Prabhupada recognized big bearded Howard and smiled. You have brought your friends? Yes, Howard answered in his loud, resonant voice. Oh, very good. Prabhupada stepped out of his wide shoes, sat down on a thin mat, faced his congregation, and indicated they could all be seated. He distributed several pairs of brass handkerchiefs and briefly demonstrated the rhythm 1, 2, 3. He began playing a startling ringing sound, and he began singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now it was the audience's turn. Chant, he told them. Some already knew. Gradually the other caught on, and after a few rounds, all were chanting together. Most of these young men and the few young women present had, at one time or another, embarked on the psychedelic voyage in search of a new world of expanded consciousness. Boldly and recklessly, they had entered the turbulent, forbidden waters of LSD, peyote, and magic mushrooms. Heedless of warning, they had risked everything and done it. Yet there was merit in their valor, their eagerness to find the extra dimensions of the self, to get beyond ordinary existence, even if they didn't know what the beyond was, or whether they would ever return to the comfort of the ordinary. Nonetheless, whatever truth they had found, they remained unfulfilled. And whatever world they have reached, this young psychedelic voyager had always returned to the Lower East Side. Now they were sampling the Hare Krishna mantra. When the kirtan suddenly sprang up from the Swami's kartals and sonorous voice, they immediately felt that it was going to be something far out. Here was another chance to trip out, and willingly they began to flow with it. They would surrender their mind and explore the limit of the chanting for all it was worth. Most of them had already associated the mantra with the mystical Upanishad and Gita, which has called out to them in words of mystery, eternal spirit, negating illusions. But whatever it is, these Indian mantras, let it come, they thought, let it waves carry us far and high. Let's take it and let the effect come. Whatever the price, let it come. The chanting seemed simple and natural enough. It was sweet and wasn't going to harm anyone. It was in its own way, far out. As Prabhupada chanted in his own inner ecstasy, he observed his motley congregation. He was breaking ground in a new land now. As the handkartals rang, the lead and the response of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra swelled, filling the evening. Some neighbors were annoyed. Puerto Rican's children, enchanted, appeared at the door and window, looking twilight came. Exotic it was, yet anyone could see that a Swami was raising an ancient prayer in praise of God. That wasn't rock or jazz. He was a holy man, a Swami, making a public religious demonstration. But the combination was strange. An old Indian Swami chanting an ancient mantra with a storefront full of young American hippies singing along. Prabhupada sang on, his seven head held high and tilted, his body trembling slightly with emotion. Confidently, he led the mantras, absorbed in pure devotion, and they responded. More passersby were drawn to the front window and open door. Some jeered, but the chanting was too strong. Within the sound of the kirtan, even the car horns were a faint staccato. The vibration of auto engines and the rumble of trucks continued, but in the distance now, unnoticed. Gathered under the dim electric light in the bare room, the group chanted after the leader, growing gradually from a feeble, hesitant chorus to an approximate harmony of voices. They continued clapping and chanting, putting into it whatever they could, with hopes of discovering its secrets. This Swami was not simply giving some 5 minute sample demonstration. For the moment, he was their leader, their guide in an unknown realm. Howard and Kit's little encounter with a kirtan in Calcutta had led them outsiders. The chanting had never before come like this, right in the middle of the Lower East Side, with a genuine Swami leading them. So in their mind were psychedelic ambitions to see the face of God, fantasies and vision of Hindu teachings, and the presumptions that IT was all impersonal light. Prabhupada had encountered a similar group on the Bowery, and he knew this group wasn't experiencing the mantra in the proper discipline, reverence, and knowledge. But he let them chant in their own way. In time, their submission to the spiritual sound, their purification, and their enlightenment and ecstasy in chanting and hearing Hare Krishna would come. Hare Bol. He stopped the kirtan. The chanting has swept back the world. But now the Lower East Side rushed in again. The children at the door began to chatter and laugh. Cars and trucks made the rumbling heard once more. And a voice shouted from a nearby apartment, demanding quiet. It was now past 7:30. Half an hour had elapsed. Now today, we shall begin the 4th chapter, what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. His lecture is very basic and yet, for restless youth, heavily philosophical. Some can't take it and they rise rudely upon hearing the Swami's first words, put on their shoe at the front door and return to the street. Others have left as soon as they saw the singing was over. Still, this is his best group yet. A few of the Bowery congregation are present. The boys from Mott Street are here, and they are especially looking for a guru. Many in the group have already read Bhagavad Gita, and they are not too proud to hear and admit that they didn't understand it. So it's another hot and noisy July evening outside his door. Children are on summer vacation and they stay out on the street until dark. Nearby, a big dog is barking. Row, row, row. The traffic creates constant rumbling. Just outside the window, little girls are shrieking, and all this makes lecturing difficult. Yet, despite the distractions of children, traffic, and dogs, he wants the door open. If it is closed, he says, why is it closed? People may come in. He continues undaunted, quoting Sanskrit, holding his audience, and developing his urgent message, while the relentless cacophony rivals his every word. Row, row, row. Ek, ya. Shrieking like little Spanish witches, the girl disturbed the whole block. In the distance, a man shouted from his window, get out here, get out here. Prabhupada asked them not to make noise. Roy, one of the boys in the temple, the man is chasing the kids now. Prabhupada, yes, yes, these children are making a disturbance. Ask them. Roy, yes, that's what the man's chasing them right now. Prabhupada, they are making noises. Roy, yes, he's chasing them now. The man chases the children away, but they will be back. You can't chase the children off the street. They live there, and the big dog never stop barking. And who can stop the cars? The cars are always there. Prabhupada uses the cars to give an example. When a car momentarily comes into our vision on the Second Avenue, we certainly don't think that it had no existence before we saw it, or that it ceases to exist once it has passed from view. Similarly, when Krishna goes from this planet to another, it doesn't mean he no longer exists, although it may appear that way. Actually, he has only left sight. Krishna and his incarnation constantly appear and disappear on innumerable planets throughout the innumerable universes of the material creation. So I think we should stop here. It has little rain in here already. So anybody has any question, comment, corrections? If not, then I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the desk of these wonderful Vaishnavas. Today, in the Manaha Siksha, we learn 4 obstacles. So I'm going to repeat. Repetition is good, then we will remember. First one is asatsanga, associating with those who have no interest in spiritual advancement. Second one is worldly talk. When you associate with the materialistic people, it's just have no other substance but worldly talk. And we can derail from our practice by associating. That's the second obstacle. Third obstacles, particularly I think we have seen in Indian congregations, that they have so many understanding, even though it might be false, but they carry all these impressions about the merging into the God, impersonalism, liberation, that 4 or 5 type of liberation that we read other day. You know, you stay in the place where Krishna is, you look like him, you got the quality of him, everything like those. But these uh, kind of liberation is not good, because you have to come back again into the material world. And also up to the point that it mentioned that the last obstacle is that we become attracted with the opulent God, Lord Narayan, in Vaikuntha planet. But the real Goloka Vrindavan is all above from this Vaikuntha Loka. So these four obstacles, and today we read in detail that association makes a lot of difference. You will see your life will turn like whom you associate. And even the demon, Hiranyakashipu, in the purport, Shivaram Swami Maharaj says that even Hiranyakashipu was telling Prahlad Maharaj that, you know, if you have the jewel crystal, then anything you present close to the crystal will make that color. Demon even has understood the principle that with whoever we associate, we will get their qualities sooner or later. Sometime you may not recognize right away, but something happen in your life and you will turn toward those things. So this is one we have read today. And the second one, tomorrow we are going to read about the Gramya Katha, idle talk, which has no meaning whatsoever. But people spend a lot of time, and that's why you see so many newspapers, so many magazines, so many news channels broadcasting nonsense. You know, it has no real value. And so many novels, so many books, all these things. So we will be dwelling on that tomorrow. So looking forward to see you tomorrow, if Krishna so desire. And at 4:30 a.m. meditation, we see the pastimes of this Damodar Lila. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that our faith, we should reach to the Nishtha stage, means nobody can move from our positions, no matter what happened in our life. That stage, we need to cry out for Krishna. Then and then, Krishna will respond to our request. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur made that the practice should be so fixed that no deviation should come. Steadfastness is essential. And then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that just because Mother Yashoda was not giving up, even though she don't have the enough ropes to tie, she went everywhere. She collected everywhere, each corner from the house. Then he asked the neighbors. Then he asked the whole village. But she was so determined to bound Lord Sri Krishna. And she was getting tired, fatigued, perspirations. And when Krishna saw how much labor she is putting into it to bound him, he became he made Yasodamai bound him up. So if that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur made the point for the devotees, if he wants to attain the love of God, we should be so fixed. And out of all this, devotional practice, chanting is the topmost. So if we cannot become fixed in our chanting, what is what we have to re-establish our relationship with Krishna? And I'm telling you one thing, at the time of death, you will regret it very heavily. That, look at this, I had so much opportunity, and then you will see all your asset in front of you, which has no value. And then you will see that why all this money I have never been used, all this asset. And I was just working like a cats and dogs, never fall satisfied and never stop working, didn't take the retirement on time. And we will regret it very heavily. That pain will be much more than biting by the scorpion, because you know for sure at that moment where our destiny would be. Because before we leave our body, we get all the hint where we are getting. You know, if you look at the life of all these great personalities, before they leave, like I was talking to Hanuman Prasad Swami Maharaj, and he was telling me that I was ready to leave the body, but all this still, all other arrangement was not yet confirmed. So still I'm here. So that's Bhakti Tirth Maharaj. Radhanath Swami Maharaj revealed so many intimate pastimes because he was the one
Hare
close to
Krishna,
Bhakti Tirth
Prabhuji.
Maharaj at that time, and everything
Hare
came clear.
Krishna.
Haribol.
What Hanuman
Huh?
Maharaj meant about this, that he was not ready. Can you please explain?
No, no, not he was ready, but the arrangement has not been yet completely done.
Yes.
Right.
Can you
So
please
he,
explain?
so he said that he is waiting for the right moment and all the arrangement. He is waiting for that moment. And we see in the life of that Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, he was revealing everything. That he is now, he can see Prabhupada, he can see what he has to do, and everything become clear. So if we have not yet dedicated our life, we won't achieve that goal, and that would be real suffering. When we see all the asset, our houses will be here. And this, I really like it that America has come with the reverse mortgage. You can get the money. If you have the paid house, you can get the money and you can live happily without working. Why we leave everything for somebody? They won't remember you. Remember this. How much are we remember our parents? Just think about it. What have we done for our previous in our disciplic succession? We haven't done a darn thing for them. Do you think our children will do for us? Big question mark. But they are one good thing about them that they are really upfront. They tell, that, hey, daddy, mommy, I don't need your money. You spend your money. But we are so attached, we can't use it. And then when we leave this body, we will see all the castle that we have built, home, our bank balance, nothing has any value. Then we will say, why did I not stop working? I should have taken a reverse mortgage and live simple life. Simple life doesn't cost that much. And when you get old, you don't have that much appetite to eat anyway. And if you eat more, you will struggle throughout the night. And that's the reason we can't get up in the morning. If you keep your body, that's a rule. That when you finish your dinner, you should leave your stomach 50% empty. That means whatever quantity you eat, you should be able to eat without any problem. That much space we should leave. Then there is no problem waking up. You will easily be able to wake up. or do like Samskruti does, before you go to sleep, you read Prabhupada Lilamrta. Do something that can keep your consciousness alive because Maya Devi is so strong. It will give you list of excuses. I have a headache today. My body is aching. Oh, I went to the sleep late last night. I feel so sleepy. Even though I wake up, I won't be able to concentrate. What is the use of chanting those kind of round? Let me take a good rest. All these things is nothing but the Maya Devis. Maya Devi is giving you all these options. One day, if you don't get up, it's not going to make any difference. Maya Devi will say, and will say, yeah, let me sleep today. That makes sense. No, we should never allow that Maya Devi. Whatever the time we decided, if anything is thought come in our mind not to do that, you know for sure that's non different than Maya Devi. And we have been tricked for many, many lives, and she knows where we are weak. So listen to this, Manaha Siksha, they are going to say all these obstacles. These are the gross they have started with this, but then they will take us to the inner. And inner one is the very hard to even change. Is external things you can easily change. Internal is very difficult. Our swabhav, our nature is very difficult to change. But if we are seeking for the association of Krishna, we must change it once and for all. Okay, thank you very much. It's already 7:10. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kipasindubhayavacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much, everyone. And if Krishna so desires, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 2 o'clock. If
Hare
not,
Krishna Prabhu.
join at your regular time. Yes, Prabhuji.